AskReddit by standardisable. People who were considered gifted early on and subsequently fell off. What are your stories? Realized that everything I was good at I was just hyperfixating over, and as soon as it all became uninteresting my motivation fell off a cliff. Now I'm basically stuck in a limbo of people thinking I'm not ambitious, but really I just don't have a clue what I want to do with my life, and I know it's not what I was convinced that it was. Not sure of your age, but I am nearing 40 and I can relate 100%. It took me a long time to realize that it really does not matter how gifted you are. People want to see a work product, and an impressive product takes consistent time and practice over years, not weeks or months. I am now in a place where I am pushing through earning a degree to at least prove to myself I can stick with something long enough to finish and have something to point to for my hard work. I still worry about my job prospects and have already lost interest in my degree, computer science, but I am pushing through my loss of interest and I am desperately clinging to the hope that my efforts will lead at least to a deeper knowledge of something that others value. A lot of neurodivergence that went undiagnosed for far too long. They told me I could be whatever I wanted and I chose disappointing. People acted like gifted folks needed to remunerate society for this gift. I couldn't be anything. I needed to be something amazing. It took me a long time to realize I don't owe anyone anything. I am very smart. I learn things easily, and I remember way more than average. That's more or less accidental good fortune. A tall person isn't obligated to get coordinated and play basketball. A smart person isn't obligated to work a high-stress job or, like, cure cancer. I work in it basically solving puzzles. Happy, comfortable, and relaxed. Folks are welcome to tell me I should do more with my life. I'd rather make myself happy than fulfill someone's vision of what I need to accomplish to repay the universe for allowing me to be intelligent. Discovered certain plant. I feel like this was the main cause, as well as the whole alcohol kills brain cells thing. I believe the word I've heard used for people like me is twice exceptional. I was in gifted classes, but I also had pretty significant ADHD, currently diagnosed and medicated, but undiagnosed and unmedicated at the time. I could cram last minute for any test or crank out a paper in a night or two, but I never learned how to self-regulate or work steadily toward a goal. I made it to grad school, and that's when shit really got hard. I did great in the classes, but my thesis project was a nightmare, and I think I only graduated because my advisor wanted to be rid of me. Holy shit. Are you me? I was also in gifted classes all the way into high school, and I could also shit out good grades on homeworks, essays, and exams in undergrad, even though I leave everything to the last minute. Right now I'm in grad school for engineering and having trouble finishing my thesis. It's the last thing I need to graduate, but I have this paralysis. I convince myself I don't have ADHD because I am able to focus, and I have high grades in my master's classes. Also, caffeine makes me sleepy. Mental illness. Managing it takes a lot of my time and effort, and the last few years of university and my career since weren't nearly as successful as my younger years, when I was relatively healthy. Yep. ADHD and bipolar. People have always called me intelligent, but I was rarely ever able to harness it towards one goal. I slacked off most of my school life because I was able to. I just kind of meandered through life and college until one day it just clicked and I realized I needed to build a solid work ethic. Since then I've been pretty successful despite my periods of intense focus or not giving a shit. I was gifted throughout school. Gifted classes in elementary, all honors classes in middle high school, plus AP and UL enrollment. As it turns out, I have ADHD and autism, so it's really that I hyperfixated and rode that high until college. Failed miserably in college. Stuck in a retail job for now. Executive dysfunction, autism, severe anxiety, addiction, trauma, PTSD, etc. The crushing weight of knowing everyone expects you'll be destined for something great. Lol, I'm officially the Debbie of this thread. This is me 100%. In my 30s and in the process of being diagnosed for autism and or ADHD, though my therapist has said I show strong traits of both. Dealing with unresolved grief trauma, have battled various forms of addiction, and struggling to be a functioning human with how severe my anxiety has been. I feel like I have permanent imposter syndrome. I was told I was gifted and special all my life, especially early in school. My family believed I was destined for greatness. I'd say I'm average, if that. I make a little more than average, but less than all my friends. I've been labeled as both hardworking and incredibly lazy depending on if something held my interest or not. When I do have success, I immediately struggle to live up to the new expectations set by that success to the point where I just kind of avoid standing out in any way. I know I've never will never be what was expected of me and no one is as disappointed in me as I am. I was a gifted artist. It became a growing job that couldn't pay the bills. Now I only do it as a hobby, and I'm sad that I don't have enough time to do it anymore. First and foremost, no one 20-30 years ago saw speed reading as a problem. Now that it's ingrained in me, we know it is. Second, I got misdiagnosed at 8 with behavior disorders non-specified, now lumped as autism spectrum. Then somewhere it became bipolar as the quack who was treating me was getting compensated massively for prescribing those drugs. I have ADHD, which in females has some symptom overlap, emotional dysregulation, but not many drugs or treatments overlap. The joke is I out-earned my sisters with master's degrees just as a fast food manager. So it worked out. Can you elaborate on the speed reading? I'm not aware of this and searching online gives me too wide a variety of answers. Is fast reading somehow bad for kids? It was the pressure. From family and teachers. You're going to be a doctor one day. That turned into only an A, not an A+. So I tanked my grades on purpose in high school, but the pressure got worse. Wasted potential and disappointed were thrown around a lot. I finished high school with honors, got my BSc. I took the MCAT and got accepted to med school. Then I decided I was unhappy. I was tired of living someone else's dream and I just quit it all. Ironically, I now work in entertainment and get judged by strangers constantly, but at least I'm living my dream. Grew up being told I was smart but lazy. I went to gifted schools. I barely scraped by, because I could not concentrate on anything. I barely studied, and got just enough credits to graduate high school. I never learned to work hard till I started college. Even then, my first attempt failed and I dropped out after 1.5 semesters. I went back a few years later and made straight A's for the first time in my life. Also, mental health was a big challenge for me, and still is. At least now, there are resources available that just weren't there when I was growing up in the 80s. When did you get diagnosed for ADHD? Or you should see if you can get tested. The smart but lazy criticism is a telltale sign of neurodivergence. Intelligence is as much a gift as a curse. Sometimes it's better to be blissfully ignorant. I know way too much about the world, way more than I'd like to. But information is absolutely addicting. And the more I learn about the world, the more terrified I am of it. I'm basically agoraphobic at this point. I can't hold a job. I don't have a car. I feel everything too intensely. I had to quit cannabis because of finances, after quitting psych meds cold turkey in June when I lost my insurance. Most days, I just hope to get home invaded and murdered since I'm too much of a coward to take anything into my own hands. I've tried, believe me. You would never know I was a National Merit Scholar semi-finalist and could have graduated college debt-free if I'd just kept my shit together. The material finally caught up to me and I had to put the work in instead of it just coming to me so easily. Started building better study habits, actually showing up and paying attention, outlining, etc. I am no longer gifted, but the pivot I made got me through law school, so I'll take it. ADHD. Happy Cake Day. I went undiagnosed until I was 37. Turns out in the 90s the gifted and talented program was where they shoved you if they couldn't figure that out. I think I reached my max psych level or something. I used to be smart and so ahead of everybody, and now I can't keep up. Everything I thought I was skilled in, everybody I meet is already way better than I am. It's kind of humiliating to say I'm good at something only for literally everybody to be better. I was a brilliant kid. Picked up on concepts very quickly, read like my life depended on it, asked the right questions to develop a deeper understanding. As a result, I never studied. I didn't have to. I had a quasi-photographic memory until my late teens. I struggled socially, but in academics if I took an interest in something then I was nearly guaranteed to excel in it very quickly. When I hit college and most external structure disappeared, that's when it all came crashing down. I won't go through my whole journey, but my 20s were an emotional roller coaster. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 19 and ASD at 30. I'm textbook for both, but because I'm a woman and did well in school, both diagnoses were ignored by professionals for far too long. Turns out I wasn't gifted, I just have Asperger's and ADHD. I pick stuff up really easily, but I also lose interest quickly, so I rarely develop a deeper understanding of a subject. Edit. Turns out most of us gifted kids were actually neurodivergent. I do wonder how different my life would be if I had been diagnosed as a kid and given help instead of living with huge expectations put on me that I had no hope of living up to. Like a bunch of other people answering here, I also have a severe anxiety disorder now, along with other mental health problems. People put too much pressure on you, and it leads to using drugs, alcohol to cope. Eventually, you come to the realization that we are all gifted in one way or another. We had a vice principal in high school who liked to show up to AP classes unannounced and try to give the high achievers panic attacks about not getting into college if they didn't achieve even higher than they were already achieving. I lasted until university graduation, master's degree, then I realized that because I don't know what I want to do, and the things I do enjoy are incredibly not demanding, being smart means nothing. My particular cocktail of anxiety, depression, and ADHD kicked in about 5th grade. 5th was when all the little elementary schools combined into one big middle school, and now I'm no longer the top of the crop. Also, I acquired bullies at an alarming rate. Everything went downhill from there. School was no longer a pleasure, I was chronically absent, and instead of therapy I was bullied by my own mother for being a drama queen. I didn't get therapy until freshman year, and I didn't go for long because he didn't tell my mom what she wanted to hear. She wanted confirmation I was being a teenage asshole. He called her out and told her I was truly suffering. She stopped taking me or paying for it. I didn't go to college because 1. Couldn't pay for it, 2. Didn't know what I wanted to study, 3. I didn't want 4 more years of this. Ugh. I was in AP classes in high school, but was a then at the time undiagnosed schizophrenic. Started drinking early and fell off hard. Did well at community college though, at least in some classes. I got stuck in gifted classes because a teacher cried that I was completing her lessons too fast. Learned how to type and make PowerPoint presentations, never learned anything advanced or how to actually study. Eventually, I would fail nearly anything I actually studied for, so I gave up trying to study at all. Then my mom decided I should have been smart enough to get into college free and she wouldn't help me get a loan. She tried to bully me into joining the military, too. I regret not going to college, but I guess I should be happy I don't have student loans. Raging ADHD. The gifted part didn't go away, the ability to keep up with everything in adult life just isn't there unless I massively force it to be. Only was diagnosed a few months ago as it worsened to the point where it heavily interfered in my life. Turns out I wasn't gifted. I just learned multiplication at the very young age of 5 and was nothing special.